Good morning, Bimblers, and you join me in Brickfields Park here in Warrington for a very special video called a What, Where, Who. If you're watching this on a Tuesday, it means you're at Bimblism Live. Hello. But if you're watching this on a Wednesday, well, you missed out, didn't you? Anyway, first stop, a what? Let's bimble. You may have been driving down Winnick Street and wondered what this was. Or maybe you've never noticed it. It's what we call a Lucy box. That's a nickname given to these cast iron boxes that used to house some kind of electrical gubbins. The name Lucy box comes from the most common manufacturer of these kinds of cast iron boxes. That would be W. Lucy & Co. This particular box is made by a company called Hardy & Podmore. If you like the look of it, you need to go to Llandudno, because they've got hundreds of them that look exactly the same as this one. So what do you reckon this secret in plain sight used to do? Well, it was for the old trams. In 1902, Warrington got its first power station over in Howley, you know, where the Riverside Retail Park is now, home base as was. That was Warrington Power Station, and with that came an electric tramway, and this is the gubbins for that. The first tramway to opened on the 21st of April 1902. That was the one that went to Latchford. And this one, the tramway that went to Longford, opened in November of 1902. It used to stop just near Toby Carvery at something called Longford Bridge. It's more of a tunnel these days, what with the dual carriageway. Back in the days of the tram, there wasn't a traffic island here. It was just the tramway. In fact, in the middle there used to be a urinal. It was called Town's End. It was the last P before you left town and went home and probably got told off by your wife. From the early 30s they stopped having trams here in Warrington, and the first one to close was the Stockton Heath branch. That closed in September of 1931. Then on New Year's Eve of 1931 they closed this branch, the Longford branch. The first to open was the last to close. That was the Latchford branch. That closed in August of 1935. The Warrington Tram Corporation became the Warrington Transport Corporation Department. And instead of having trams, they thought, let's just buy buses instead. And that's what they have today. So that was what. What about where? Let's bimble.
No different from the time before. Brimming with the sun's conditions. Swept overboard. I'm with the wind's incision, cutting through, I'm overjoyed. Flowing with the storm's collision, the perfect choice. Moods can be lifted, the brighter the day. You take the blue skies and I'll take the grey.
Well, Bimblers, I'm glad I came out in this heat wave to tell you about a bit of stone that's near where Mr. Smith's used to be. I suppose it's a what as well as a where, but as soon as I tell you what it is, you're going to ask where it was. It used to be part of Victoria Bridge. That's the bridge that this big white one behind me, Warrington Bridge, replaced. Warrington Bridge is the 6th bridge to be built in this location. Bridges are so important to the people of Warrington that the street leading up to it is called Bridge Street. It's believed that the first stone bridge here over the River Mersey at Bridgefoot was built in 1487, and it was built so Henry VII could get over the Mersey to go and visit his mum at Knowsley Hall. It was all paid for by Lord Thomas Stanley, the Earl of Richmond, and he made it toll-free. He did that by leaving 300 marks behind. A mark is 160 pence. So from then on out, it was toll-free. Unfortunately, during the Jacobite Rebellion of 1745, the middle bit was destroyed by the Mersey Blues. That was to stop Charles, the young pretender, from getting to London. They rebuilt it with a watch house and a dungeon in the middle, just in case you were thinking about trying it again. When Victoria became Queen in 1837, the people of Warrington decided they needed a new bridge, so they built Victoria Bridge. And this hexagonal bit of stone was once part of it. In 1912, Warrington decided they needed another new bridge, a much bigger one, to cope with all the traffic. I mean, they had no idea. So they built Warrington Bridge. That's the big white one that's here today. And they got George V to open it. But if you're looking for more bits of hexagonal stone from Victoria Bridge, all you have to do is go down to the Paddington Hotel, you know, near Woolston Tip. They've got a bit of it as well, for some reason. Anyway, enough about a bridge that was built in 1837 that was knocked down in 1912. What about a bridge that was built in 1837 that's still there? Let's bimble. Well, Bimblers, I'm sheltering from the heat wave under that bridge I was on about. This heat wave has looked a lot like rain this morning. It wasn't supposed to rain. I looked at the BBC this morning and said the sun was supposed to be cracking the flags. But it wasn't to be, and we've made it through. But this bridge that I'm sheltering underneath, I've often crossed it, both on trains and on foot. There's a little footbridge to the side. But I've never really thought about it before. It was built in 1837 because it was built for the Grand Junction Railway. So does that make it the oldest railway bridge in Warrington? Well, that depends. Is the Sankey Viaduct in Warrington or St Helens? It crosses over the Sankey Brook, which is the boundary between the two. If you go in one direction, you get to Collins Green, which is part of Warrington. If you go in the other direction, you get to Earlstown, which is part of St Helens. One thing's for sure, the Sankey Viaduct is older than this, the Walton Viaduct, by about 7 years. The Sankey Viaduct was built in 1830. It's the world's first railway viaduct. It was built for the world's first intercity railway. And the two fellas that built that were George Stephenson and Joseph Locke, with a bit of help from Robert Stephenson, that's George Stephenson's son. And as a coincidence, they're the two fellas who built the Grand Junction Railway. So therefore, one of them must have designed this bridge. This could be a George Stephenson viaduct, and nobody's talking about it. George Stephenson was a rather marvellous man. He didn't learn to read or write until he was 18. And when he was 19, he learnt arithmetic. And he paid for a personal tutor out of his wages as a boilerman in a mine. After he'd stopped building railways and stopped building bridges, he set his mind to a much bigger problem, which was bendy cucumbers. He designed a glass flask that would go over your cucumber to make sure that your cucumber would grow straight. Victorian people wanted lovely straight cucumbers. Anyway, it was George Stephenson and Joseph Locke that built the Grand Junction Railway in 1837. And that's a railway that went between Birmingham and Dallamere in Warrington, where the line would have forked off and joined onto the Manchester and Liverpool Railway, the one with the Sankey Viaduct. One interesting comparison between this viaduct and the viaduct behind it is one of height. The Walton Viaduct only had to be tall enough to let Mersey Flats through with their masts, whereas the viaduct behind had to be tall enough to accommodate ocean-going vessels. That's because the next viaduct along goes over the Manchester Ship Canal. Much taller, those boats. George Stephenson would have had something to say about the incline of that railway getting up to that viaduct. He would have been staunchly against it. Nobody seems to talk about this viaduct. There's no Wikipedia page. Network Rail never seemed to mention it. It's not even listed. But it's clearly from 1837, and it was built for the Grand Junction Railway, which means it was designed by either George Stephenson, Joseph Locke, or Robert Stephenson. Any of those three fellas building a bridge anywhere else, we'd be making a fuss about it, wouldn't we? This could be a George Stephenson viaduct. The man that straightened the cucumber.